The courthouse had never been so silent. A powerful business empire that had taken decades to build was only seconds away from collapsing forever. Lawyers shuffled papers, reporters waited for the final verdict, and a tired single father sat alone, knowing he had run out of hope. Then, just as the judge prepared to make a life-changing decision, the courtroom doors opened. A confident young woman stepped inside carrying a worn leather folder that had been protected for 15 years. No one recognized her at first. But when she looked at the man whose world was falling apart, tears filled her eyes. The homeless little girl he had once rescued from the streets had returned, and what happened next would leave everyone in the courtroom speechless. If you believe that one act of kindness can change a life forever, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness of Heart for more emotional stories that remind us how powerful compassion can truly be. 15 years earlier, Rowan Mercer had already lost almost everything. His wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise his 6-year-old son, Owen, alone. Every day felt like a battle between grief and responsibility. Rowan worked long hours managing a small family manufacturing company while trying to be both father and mother to his son. Life was exhausting, but he refused to let sadness define their future. One rainy afternoon, while driving home after another difficult day, Rowan noticed a little girl sitting beneath a broken bus shelter. She looked no older than 8. Her clothes were torn, her shoes barely held together, and she clutched a faded backpack as if it contained her entire world. Most people walked past without even looking at her, but Rowan couldn't ignore the fear and loneliness in her eyes. After contacting the proper authorities, Rowan learned the heartbreaking truth. The girl, named Meris, had lost her parents years earlier, bounced between temporary shelters, and eventually ended up living on the streets after running away from an abusive environment. There were no relatives searching for her and no safe place waiting for her. Rowan could have simply wished her luck and continued with his own difficult life, but something inside him refused to walk away. He remembered the promise he had made to his late wife, to always choose kindness, even when life made it difficult. Months of paperwork, home inspections, and emotional challenges followed before Rowan officially adopted Meris. Friends questioned his decision. Some said he already had enough burdens. Others warned that bringing another child into his struggling home would only create more problems. Rowan listened politely, but his heart had already made the decision. Life inside their modest home was far from perfect. Money was tight, and Rowan often skipped meals so his children would never have to. Owen and Meris slowly grew from strangers into true siblings. At first, Meris barely spoke. Years of neglect had taught her not to trust anyone. She often woke from nightmares and hid food beneath her bed, afraid it would disappear. Rowan never judged her fears. Instead, he patiently showed her, day after day, that love did not come with conditions. Birthdays were celebrated, school projects were completed around the kitchen table, and laughter gradually replaced silence. The house wasn't filled with luxury, but it overflowed with warmth. As the years passed, Meris discovered an extraordinary passion for learning. She studied harder than anyone in her class because she believed education was the only gift no one could ever steal from her. Rowan encouraged every dream she had, even when it meant taking extra shifts or selling valuable possessions to pay for books and tuition. Watching her succeed became his greatest source of happiness. Eventually, Meris earned a scholarship to one of the country's finest law schools. Before leaving, she hugged Rowan with tears in her eyes, silently promising herself that she would one day repay the man who had given her a family when the world had forgotten she existed. Meanwhile, Rowan's business began facing serious trouble. A powerful competitor launched a series of legal attacks, accusing his company of fraud and breach of contract. Investors pulled away, employees feared for their jobs, and the media quickly painted Rowan as a dishonest businessman without waiting for the truth. Despite having spent decades building his reputation through honesty and hard work, everything seemed to collapse within months. Rowan hired lawyers, gathered documents, and fought every accusation, but hidden evidence continued to disappear. It seemed as though someone with enormous influence wanted his company destroyed forever. Meris had recently become a successful attorney known for her intelligence and integrity. While working on another case, she accidentally discovered financial records connected to Rowan's competitors. The documents revealed a carefully planned conspiracy involving forged contracts, manipulated accounts, and bribed witnesses designed to eliminate Rowan's company from the market. The moment she realized who the victim was, she knew she had to act. She gathered every piece of evidence, verified every detail, and prepared herself for the most important courtroom appearance of her life. On the morning of the final hearing, Rowan sat in court believing it was all over. His shoulders carried years of sacrifice, disappointment, and heartbreak. Then the courtroom doors opened. Meris walked inside wearing the black robe she had earned through countless sleepless nights of studying. She wasn't the frightened little girl from the bus shelter anymore. She was calm, confident, and determined. As she presented document after document, witness after witness, the carefully constructed lies began falling apart. Every false accusation was exposed. Every hidden payment was traced. Every attempt to destroy Rowan's business was revealed before the judge and everyone watching. Hours later, the judge dismissed every charge against Rowan and ordered a criminal investigation into the rival executives responsible for the conspiracy. Reporters who had once questioned Rowan's integrity now praised his honesty and resilience. Employees celebrated because their jobs had been saved. Investors returned, stronger than before. But none of those victories meant as much to Rowan as the moment he looked at Meris and realized the little girl he had once carried home in the rain had become the woman who protected everything he had spent his life building. Standing outside the courthouse beneath the bright afternoon sun, Rowan understood that kindness is never an expense. It is an investment whose greatest rewards often arrive years later in ways no one could ever predict. 15 years earlier, he had simply chosen not to ignore one lonely child. That single decision had transformed 2 lives, protected hundreds of employees, and preserved a legacy built on honesty, compassion, and hope. Meris never believed she had saved Rowan's empire alone. She knew the truth. He had rescued her long before she ever walked into that courtroom. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that even the smallest act of kindness can create a future beyond imagination, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to Kindness of Heart so more people can discover stories that inspire hope and compassion. Before this story ends, please leave a comment telling us, what is one act of kindness that changed your life forever? Because in the end, the greatest fortunes are not measured by money or power,